Welcome in, dudes and dudettes, to all new Nomad Live. Hey, we made it through the off season. Nobody got shot. Nobody got in trouble. And hey, we're just days out, man. We're days out. And of course, I'm itching. I keep saying that over and over again, and it's true. My anxiety levels go through the roof. My body chemistry tells me you need to be ready for football. And it's just something about ex-football players that we struggle with that year in and year out. This time of year, we just physically feel like we are supposed to be preparing to play football games, and that's one of those things I gotta. I don't know. I probably need to go see a therapist about that, but that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, it's been great, doing these shows during the off season, and hopefully we played our part in the Bears ecosystem to help you guys cope with not having football and just having something to be looking forward to. We don't get on these shows to fluff you guys, to lie you guys, to placate to you guys. No, we give it to you exactly how we believe it is. And I think that we've done our part during this. This is our first off season as a network. And hopefully we've done our part to fill in the space and give you guys some real solid content. And that was the goal in the first place, was to be about giving you solid content, doing the homework, do the research, and deliver it to the people that love this stuff. So for that, all I can say is let me bring in Samo right quick, man. Hey Samo.
What up? What up? What's
It's
up?
hot, man.
It's hot outside, man. This the dog days of the summer. You know, when you sweating underneath your pants for the summer. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh man,
The tour days. You remember the tour days back in high school? I just rolled past. I think it was St. Ignatius was out there practicing. Man, it just brought back old memories. I was just thinking about when I was in high school. Man, we would practice from 9 to 12. Go jump in the pool, grab something to eat. 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock, we right back at it. There practicing, preparing for the season, man. You missed that right about now, man. You, like you say, you start feeling a little antsy right now, like you ready. You know, your body starts feeling it, preparing itself. What do they call it? Muscle memory.
Yeah.
Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. All the faithful: Bradley, Remy, Cornelius Squalls, Mr. Mayhem 69, Patty Laura Plank, Joseph Archer. Salute to you guys, man, for always being on point and here on time.
Cornelius Squalls, CBP Film. I see a bunch of different people in here, man. Glad to have you guys in here as always, man. Love you guys for being so faithful to us. Hey, a little note for all you guys is, I know that everybody can't always. J2K, what's happening? I know that you guys can't always watch the show live, but we're about to do our part to expand the brand to other platforms. We're going to boost it out on audio platforms. So be looking for that soon. We're working on that right now so that we can put those out for people that can, that can't watch the show live all the time. So all it's going to do is just boost the algorithm up, help people find us. You know what I mean? I thought YouTube was a great outlet, but we definitely need to touch those spaces. And so pretty soon you'll be able to find us there in audio form and things like that. So be looking for that. All right, well, let's bring in Triple R, see what's on this guy's mind, man. How you doing, man?
Feeling good, barely wearing any clothes because it's still summertime. Don't have me stand up because whether I'm wearing pants or not, who knows? The answer's no. But, it's that time, that muscle memory is like, all right, it's time to, get ready to start hitting again. But, at my advanced age, it's like, let's leave that to the kids nowadays, Go out and watch some Pee Wee and be like, strap it up, little fool. This is how we used to do it. Oklahoma drill, son. Where you at? I'm not doing none of it no more. But I'm gonna talk a little mess, to the kids and tell them how to do it. That's what I do. But yeah, big up, cheers, everybody, as we, ready to get into it. Let's go.
Okay, before we get into the show's topic, the thumbnail's topic, the topic of the thumbnail, there was word out, I think it was Daniel Greenberg or somebody, Daniel's Green something. There's word that the polls and the front office might be interested in bringing in Arthur Mollett. Arthur Mollett is a veteran. He's a veteran nickel corner is what he is. And so what I posted on Twitter was, what intrigued me was, okay, I felt pretty good at our depth at corner coming into the offseason. And, what it said to me is something happened, or someone's injured and isn't recovering quite the way that they were expecting them to, and maybe it could be that, or it could be a number of things, but they could not be comfortable with the depth that they have, and they just decided, let's bring in this guy. He's got connections to Flus, I believe, in his first year or two in Indianapolis, so it's not like an unfamiliar product. So when I seen that, I got the name. I was like, okay, I'm familiar with the name. Okay, and I did the research and found out, he's a veteran nickel corner, and he has contacts with Flus. He's had connections with Flus, so I don't know if they're going to sign him, but I thought that was intriguing.
Thing that stood out to me was he's a guy who started in this league, and if you're interested in him, that guy wants the opportunity to try to get to start for our team this year. We already slotted Kyler Gordon in that position to play the nickel back. However, we know that they're also in contract negotiations with Jalen Johnson. So, for me, I kind of thought like maybe that's not going well, or they're looking possibly at a trade to trade Jalen Johnson and moving Kyler back to the boundary, and then putting Arthur Millette. Yeah, I almost said it. Yeah, Arthur Millette at the nickelback position. So, it's interesting just to hear that they're even interested in another corner. Because like you said, man, that's the one position I feel like we have pretty solid depth at.
Well, real quick before you say so, I know you got something, Trip, but real quick, let me add this to it. Last year they did sign Tavon Young about this time, another veteran nickel. But that was a brand new roster that they had torn down, and they needed that depth. What's going on right now? That's an interesting concept you just threw out there, Samo. It could be some stuff going on that's waiting to happen, and they're just trying to get ahead of it. I don't know, but it's just interesting that came up at this time. But the nickel, you got to remember, the nickel is almost the most vital position on the defense, man. It's pretty close to as important as the 3-tech. So there's that.
I remember back in the day when I was a shorty, and my people would watch their stories, the soap operas as they call them. And now's that time when it starts up and say, wait, a veteran nickel, but Kyler's our nickel. Wait, Jalen Johnson, he just got a new agent. Are things not progressing well with the negotiations? Who? What? Who? Tune in next week and find out on another exciting episode. And so this is what's all going on now, because we don't know what's happening behind the closed doors in Hallis Hall. We don't know who's injured or healthy. We don't know who's, in the plans for the future, long or short term. So whatever happens, because the more competition, whoever, wins it out, cool. That means that they're the better, talent, hopefully. And as long as everybody has that fair chance, no extra weight given to veterans or draft position or contract size, and just let them go out there and battle, we're going to have the best team that we can.
We got an early question. Do you guys think that this Bears defense is as good as the 2018 defense before they got Khalil Mack on that team? What's y'all's take?
It's still too young. I mean, most of our defensive line are rookies. We got the veteran in Bojack, and then Kwani B, second year, Gordon second year. We got to give these kids a chance to gel, to learn each other's, moves, to know, well, in this situation, we're going to do this because you're doing that and I'm doing that. And all it takes is a glance, or what he's going to do. So we need to give them time to develop. And I think that this defense has the potential to be that good, but it takes time. They're not going to just be able to jump in with both feet and be like, yeah, we're running this shit.
Yeah, pre Khalil Mack, that's hard to tell. I think the secondary may be a little bit better. The linebacker core may be a little better. So, but that defensive line has to put up or shut up. And, we're finally about to get a chance to see what we have at defensive line once the pads go on in training camp. So it could be hit or miss. I'll say that. They have the jail and just waiting on to see what's gonna happen, dog.
J2K, how do you know we don't have enough pass rush? We don't know that. We don't know that until they put the pads on. They don't know that until they put the pads on. We just assume that because we see a roster that doesn't have flash out names and doesn't have a brand name guy, and we want to. I mean, I get it, man. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to chastise you or anything like that. What I'm saying is we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
And until they put those pads on and they get out there and compete and see what kind of pressures these guys can produce. I mean, we got a bunch of what we have is a bunch of guys who are unproven in this style of defense.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a couple of guys that are trending up in their young careers that you really look forward to seeing what they have. And you could imagine right now, J2K, you can probably imagine right now, if you're a good businessman, you've already put feelers out for several guys. It's probably 5 or 6 guys at that position, at least 4 or 5 that you probably had people reach out to. When and where to sign them, if you're going to sign them, is the question. Do they need to pull that trigger now, or do they need to pull that trigger later? Or do they pull it at all? What they've been fortunate enough to be in a position is the fact that they still have some quality people still on the market, and you're already getting ready to go into training camp. What you can hope for is that at least 2 or 3 of those good guys that you've been having your eyes on and you've been reaching out to stay on the market for at least a week into the pad, so you can kind of really let what you have on the field in your locker room reveal itself. And then for sure if you want to pull that trigger for Jadeveon, for Unique and Ndakwe, or whoever is out there. You know what I mean? Because I'm like you guys. I just really want to know what we have first.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Before I jump to the conclusions, we don't have enough.
And it's very easy to say, well, like Nomad was saying, we don't have those names. Ngakwe, 8 sacks a season, regularly for the last few years. Even if we do bring in one of these vets, there's no guarantee that they're going to do 8 sacks, in 2023-24 for this Bears team. Right. So, I'm, as previously stated many times, let kids play. Let's identify the new Ngakwe that we have under, good contract control and let them develop their name. And if we don't get the outside pass rush we need, they're already projecting, like 5 or 6 first-round defensive ends for the next year's draft. So if we do get an older guy or veteran this year, not trade for somebody up and coming to give them a new contract, next year will be the time that we draft those guys. So give this crew the opportunity to prove themselves or not, in my opinion, as opposed to bringing in a guy who maybe have a history, but no guarantee going forward. And we know that they're not part of the future long-term plan.
Right.
Let's address this Mike Withrow comment. Unconfirmed rumor is Jalen Johnson is basically looking for $28 million, a 2-year deal, $18 million guaranteed. I don't know where you got that one from, but if there's any truth to that, I don't see that happen, man. It's just but you know what? I'm not sitting in Hallis Hall around agents and accountants either, so I don't know. But
that's $14 million a year.
I mean, 14. I mean, that's probably where he is, though. It's probably where he wants to be. I mean, I can see that. I would think that he's probably valuing himself as the least at $15 million a year. So I can actually believe that contract there. And then, he's kind of betting on himself for the next year. And he'll probably hold out that second year. Now, I'm just speculating here. But, that second year, he's probably going to get an even larger contract. He's betting on himself on the offseason. He gets $18 million guaranteed for this 1 year. That's essentially a 1-year deal. If you think about it, it's a 1-year deal, $18 million. Hey, if I don't put up or shut up, then either you can trade me or, you can pay me. We can renegotiate at that point in time and extend this contract out any longer. So I could see that happening, but it'd be interesting. I'm interested in knowing where that information came from too, because I haven't heard anything like that.
Well, I think it's interesting that he got a agent when he got an agent. There were, I can guarantee you, there was negotiations going on. He'd been doing his dealings the way he's been doing his dealings on his own, and I'm sure he valued himself real high, and he should. And he should. Jalen Johnson is a damn good cornerback and deserves to get paid. How much he values himself, and I think the question is more probably to his ego, because I was a corner. I know how that you cocky as hell, and you think you the shit, and so you want to get paid like you the shit. And I want to get considered amongst the top tier. I want to be Jalen Ramsey. I want to be what's his name, Darius Slay. I think I'm that level. And you're going to go to a table and you're going to ask for that kind of money. How they respond to it, nobody knows, because we're not in the room with him. But it's quite revealing that he hurried up and went and got an agent. And so that must not have been going very well. But I still, like I say, man, I'm not gonna piss on Jalen. I want him to get every dime he can shake off the tree. But you just got to be smart, Jalen, and know when to hold him, know when to fold him, know when to walk away, know when to run. That's just the bottom line to it. This is life. You got to know when to draw a line, and because they will draw a line for you if you do not.
Hey, Jalen, your lack of PBUs, pass breakups, lack of interceptions, your injury history, every time it's minus. And it's like, okay, so we went from 15, now you're about 10 and a half, 11. Instead of 18 guaranteed, just speculating, 12 guaranteed. And now he's offended, and so what do you do?
Hey, right. Hey, man, get on out of here, man. Go take a nap or something. What up, dude, though? I'm just BSing with you, man. Hey, listen.
The cats in the house.
Hey, listen. Let's get into that thumbnail, Mr. Washington. Let's get into the subject of the show, because it was pretty clear when we ended Nomad at Night Sunday that, and we asked the chat, man, we asked them right there on the show, hey, how you feel about, because we felt like we weren't done having that conversation, because it was more people that guys wanted to talk about. Hopefully, now I know for a fact that this ain't going to be enough. We probably going to end up having to do a part 3, but I added a few guys to talk about, a few more guys to talk about, because it was unanimous. Guys wanted to continue that conversation. People got after me in my DM, and people said something to me in the comments section, but they definitely wanted to continue this conversation. And it's about star alignment. And I believe 100% the stars have a line for the Bears, whether you want to, I don't know if you're suffering from beaten woman syndrome or whatever the hell you're going through as a Bears fan, but you guys are traumatized and y'all can't see what I see. I'm telling you, we have the right people in the building and the right personnel being put on the field. I'm telling you that now. Are the stars aligned? I think so. Who will shine the brightest during this season? And this is part 2 of that conversation, man. So without further ado, man, any one of you guys, let's go up top. Kwani B.
Kwani B. Pro Bowl potential, man. That's what I'm gonna say about Kwani B. He has Pro Bowl potential this coming year, man. I think he hit some rough patches last year. He started out hot. Let's say that. I'll say he started out hot. He hit some rough patches towards the middle of the season, and he finished strong, man. With a good off season to better digest the defense and to develop that NFL strength and NFL body, build his armor a little bit. I think him next to Eddie Jackson, in that strong safety role, he has that Pro Bowl potential, man, this year. So I'm looking forward to seeing him play this season.
And, he was a rookie, came in, he was a stud at Penn State, had to adjust to the NFL game. And it's noticeable when you hit the wrong hole. Pause. And so my only thing that I'm concerned about with him is, like, concussions scare me because of not only the lasting effects, but the short term, and they could end a career like that. And, getting those head bangs around, like the strong safety does, because he loves to put his head in there. And so it's like I like that, but it's like I don't at the same time. And as far as game wise, if he could improve the depth game, play like the back third, and be able to close in on the balls, because he seems to more have like a nose for the line. You know, let Bojack or whoever the free is back there play free, and that's cool. But I would like to have a little more flexibility with the safeties to give Alan Williams, defensive coordinator, a little more flexibility, not only with the linebackers and D line, but the safeties as well, make them all interchangeable.
Yeah, what I would say, man, listen, I'm gonna get a little bit long winded with Jaquan, because I'm gonna tell you the pros and cons of what I think Jaquan Brisker is and what he's capable of being. And look at Mike Mike Withrow. He's already said he want to do a part 5. We might have to at this rate, Mike. So just be on the lookout for that. But hey, Jaquan is, now I'll just say this from the top. Number one, consider the factor, and I'm not making excuses for people, but it's real, man. Rookies into new systems take time to develop. You're not just gonna just pop out of the bed one morning after being given all that information and just know what the hell you're doing. It takes time, just like it took Kyler half of a season. Jaquan looked rough out there at times. He didn't hit his assignments the way he was supposed to. Then maintain the right kind of leverage in his coverage and got out of position, and guys made big plays on him. He didn't fill the lane and tackle when he was supposed to at times. I seen it all on tape on Jaquan Brisker, so I can't just come in here and be like, hey, Jaquan Brisker is going to be a superstar. But I can tell you this, Jaquan Brisker has the capability of being an absolute superstar. Why? Because he's got the great fortune of playing next to who I think, when he's healthy, between him and Kevin Byard in Tennessee, probably the best 2 free safeties in the league all around. And he's, with all that knowledge that Eddie has, and just being around Jaquan, and Jaquan's just soaking it up. And just I know, being Jaquan and being around Eddie, just listening to him talk, listening to his checks on the field, when you got a guy like that behind you, it's going to be hard for you to be out of place. And so he's got the opportunity to learn from the best, So from that standpoint, I think Jaquan, the sky's the limit for Jaquan Brisker. The point Trips made about being physical and concussions and all that, man, I worry about that with every single player on the football field, but in particular, defensive guys and running backs and things like that, man. It's a tough game, man. It's a cold game out there, and you gotta, hopefully you can make it through that part of your career without having too many of those. But I think Jaquan, it all depends on how much information he's soaked in. Is the game slow enough for him at this point? Does he understand the system on the level that he needs to understand the system? And can he play without thinking? And that's the key right there. Can you go out there, listen to an assignment in the huddle, listen to a check behind you, listen to another check after they have to shift the defense, and still be able to play at the speed you need to play at, right? That's the big question right there. And sometimes, it doesn't always happen fast. And plus, there are new pieces out there with him. And so he's got to gel with the middle linebacker, both of the linebackers that we have, just everything in front of him. It's a lot going on, and he's going to need time to really gel with this team.
I just feel like everything that you guys are concerned about are all things that you work on in now off season. Kwani B showed me last year, especially towards the end of the year, that the game was kind of slowing down for him. He was hitting the holes, but he wasn't finishing plays, which is understandable. And he has some tackling concern where he's throwing his head in there. Those are all correctable, technique issues. And as far as, understanding the defense, that's what you do in the offseason. You learn the defense a little better. He had an entire offseason to do that. And, and to build his strength in his neck, so he can, not have as many concussion concerns going forward, and to learn the different coverages. I think having those 2 good linebackers in the middle also makes him a lot better this year. So that's why I feel like, Kwani B is on his way to a Pro Bowl type season, and having Eddie next to him too. Defenses are going to forget about Jaquan Brisker, and he's going to make them pay. That's just how I feel this year. He's going to be the third or the fourth option in coverage that people are concerned about, and he's just going to eat off of that. He's going to make a name for himself this year. Mark my word, dog.
Yeah, hey, you know what, man? I'm glad you mentioned that, but I'm gonna save this fire for later on in the show after we cover this right here. But I got every reason to believe that the whole thing about multipliers, those guys in the secondary's job is going to be a whole lot easier this year than it was last year for a couple reasons. That defensive line is going to be more stout, and definitely the middle of that field is going to be, I think, potentially elite. Those linebackers could be elite, man. I'm not kidding you, but we'll get into that conversation later because if we got time, we'll talk about the 1920 football drive that they just came out yesterday at about 7. But I want to get. But hey, did anybody see that? Did anybody see that post Eddie Jackson put out there?
I haven't.
Okay, basically he said that he's guaranteeing that he's gonna have one of the best seasons of any free safety. I mean any safety ever. Who do you remember saying that to you last week?
You said that.
I told you.
You said that. You kind of said that in there. Yeah, you called that one. Yeah. When he listening to the show, you telling me Eddie listening to the show?
He said, "Hey, man."
Or you tapped into Eddie? You tapped into Eddie's mind right now? Which is it?
Eddie's listening to Nomad. Hey, he's like, Nomad said I can do it. Yeah.
Hell yeah. It's on. Hey, it's on then.
Hey, it's not hard to tell though. I mean, you could after the description of what I'm telling you see that 1920 football drive, and you see those big, huge linebackers that we have that move the way they move, and they're gonna have a field day behind them. And like I said, Eddie is a ball magnet anyway. So he had that going for himself to begin with. Now you got guys that can get hands on balls and really serve them up to him, man. I'm telling you, I would not be surprised if we were in the upper echelon, the upper tier of the league in turnovers, and them being one of the key reasons being why.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Eddie feasts off tip balls, man, and he knows that those long linebackers in the middle, these long corners that we have, it's going to allow him a lot more opportunities to get his hands on some of those tip passes. I hear you, J2K. Yeah, I was waiting on it. I was waiting on it. Hey.
All right, for anybody that can't see the show, J2K said Bojack heard Simon wanted to trade him and had to respond.
To my defense, for anyone who didn't see the show, that episode of the show, I was just saying that, with Eddie being, towards the end of his career and still having value as an asset, maybe it's time to allow Eddie to go on to a contending team and, get some draft capital or something for him so that we could look towards the future.
Right,
I'm not saying that Eddie can't play though.
It was asinine when you said it. It's asinine now.
Hey, I'm with Samuel. Hey. I got you back. I mean, I understand, we don't want to, just get rid of good players just to get rid of them. But considering his age, considering his contract, considering where this team is in development, I wouldn't be mad. I would not be mad.
What part about elite didn't you get? This when he is healthy, this guy is not. You can't just go to a store and say, "Hey, can I get a helper? I'm in aisle 7 at Walmart. Can you reach up there and get me that Eddie Jackson?" You don't just find that SHIT at Walmart. You don't just throw that away, man. He's elite.
But listen, it disappeared on us for a few years, right? That elite Eddie disappeared on us for a few years, and now that's my fear. Is that if that ever happens again, then we don't get anything for him. He had a great season last season, playing before he got hurt. And I just think that a lot of teams would have inquired about him, especially if he hadn't gotten injured. Like a lot of teams would have been calling the Bears like, hey, you know what? What you want? You want this first round pick for Eddie? You know, we are safety, free safety like Eddie away, because teams know that the guy can play if he's healthy.
And remember, this is not baseball, not basketball, where players go into their late 30s.
Mm-hmm.
When football players hit that wall, they hit it hard.
Yep.
And so, you don't want to take the risk of saying, all right, he's good now. We'll hope he's still good next year. It's like, well, he's good now. Let's do what we can for him now. Bring up another young guy and develop with this young core of a defense together.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just the only reason we say that.
Customer service on aisle 7. You need a customer needs an Eddie Jackson on the upper tier. We need to get him down for the customer. You can't find him.
29 years old. Dude's not even 30 yet. Y'all want to send him to the old folks home?
They nuts, man.
Well, he's about to be 30, and
like 30 is nothing.
32
coming off of
he's over the hill.
The injury
coming off of an injury,
I agree with the injury as a concern, but
and let's just keep it real. Since we want to keep it real right now, he also has tackling issues. All right, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. If y'all don't want to say it,
he didn't last year.
You can't have tackling issues as a free safety.
He didn't last year.
Well,
he he also got hurt trying to make the tackles.
No, it was completely. That was a non-contact injury. Sam, stop that.
Yeah, that was not his best year before last. The defense we played, that was not geared toward him. Mm-hmm. We went to the Eberflus defense, and Eddie bounced back. I'm not ready to give up on Eddie yet because leadership. We do need leadership.
Yeah.
In 29, listen, being the senior member of this team at 60, I'm a little offended that y'all find 29 old.
Look, I'm not giving up on Eddie. Eddie, I'm not giving up on you, dog. I'm saying,
they're giving up
go
on
get your
you,
ring. Go get your ring, Eddie. I'm not saying I'm not giving up on you. I'm just
they some busters, man.
I'm waiting on the next Eddie.
Get your ring in Chicago. That's what you do.
Yeah, they don't appreciate you, Eddie. I'm just letting you know now, man. They some busters, straight up.
Now the thing is, as a fan, I appreciate his game. I want to see him ball out. But thinking, front office wise, we have to maximize the value of these players because now this is the business aspect of it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, Eddie's good. How long do professional free safeties last in this league at a high level? 31, maybe 32. How many?
There's mutiny in the chat, man. Y'all can't do Eddie like that, man.
Listen, man.
I'm an Eddie. They want y'all heads on a pike.
I'm an Eddie fan, but I'm a Bears fan first. And it just makes sense as a Bear. If I was a GM, that would make sense to make the Bears better going forward.
Hey, see,
I like Eddie. I'm an Eddie fan. I'm not saying Eddie's not a good player. I'm not saying he's not a good leader. He might miss some tackles there now and then. But hey, if I can get some money, if I get a first round pick for Eddie right now,
gone.
Get on him, chat.
Don't
let him get away with that.
We saw Monty. Monty's this leader that the locker room could not afford to lose. Now you're looking at this rookie Rojo coming in. It's like, hey, this kid's a leader. We looked at Roquan. It's like, oh God, we can't lose Roquan. Who's gonna be the leader? Kwani B stepping up. So there will be new leaders. There will be a replacement. It's just when.
Okay. So
and the time is closer to being here than it is farther away.
See, right. Samuel backing up. You ready to die on this hill. And so let's go ahead and give it to him. Let's give him what he's looking for.
I'm not backing up. I ain't backing up.
Samuel backing up. Okay.
I'm saying it is what it is, man. I like Eddie, but I'm saying, like, who will replace him? I see you, Jay Sanders. Who will replace him? That's a good question.
Exactly.
That's a good question.
Give me an answer to that, and then we can talk about Eddie Jackson not being on.
That is a good question. That's the
one of the positions. In camp. Because now we got the kid from Stanford. We got the kid Hicks from last year. You got a couple other safeties. Not saying that they have to be first round talent to beat them out, but if one of these young kids pushes Eddie to the point where it's like, yo, we can let Eddie go because these young kids are burning up his heels, then well, we got to keep him because he's a Bear. It's like, well,
let's say this. Hold on, Trip. Let's say preseason, Elijah Hicks, 2 picks. What is it? Tyreek, what's his name? Stevenson.
Wilkinson. Oh, the safety of the corner.
The safety.
That's Wilkerson.
Let's say Wilkerson gets 2 picks in the preseason. Both are playing pretty well in coverage in that deep zone.
I can't believe y'all still going.
Then what? Would you consider it then?
Let me say this.
Would you consider it then?
I got this.
No, would you consider it?
In the preseason?
I'm gonna tell you right now.
In the preseason?
Hold on, Chris. I got a disclaimer.
I mean, that's the only time you're gonna know if they're playing well, right?
This is the disclaimer. Sambo and Triple R's views do not reflect the views. Eddie, I'm telling you right now, they some busters.
Hey, man, I'm looking ahead, man. I'm looking for the future.
Right.
I'm looking towards the future and building a better Bears team in the future.
Because in order to have to take the North and keep it, you're going to have an influx of young talent coming in.
Young talent. If we can draft the best free safety next year in the draft early in the first round.
Hey, man.
Drafting them alone is not going to do it. They got to perform. To be leaders, they got to step their game up.
When you see Tiki Georges behind Samo in his window and stuff,
hey, don't do that. Don't do that.
You already know. You already know.
We just talking, guys. We just talking.
Right. Well, we talking.
Hey, y'all need to change the subject so I can go lay down again.
you have
hey,
to.
The chat is going crazy right now, too.
They should be, man. Y'all some busters, man. I can't believe y'all, man.
Hey,
all that talk,
man.
all that descript, man. I have described how Eddie Jackson can make this defense elite in so many different ways. Y'all still talking about trading. What's wrong with y'all? Y'all nuts,
man. Because that's the value. The value, man. Think about the value in Eddie Jackson because of that. What you're saying, I agree with what you're saying, and that's what I'm saying. He's valuable for that reason. And I'm thinking about the future. We're thinking about the future. You're thinking about right now. You're thinking about this season. I'm thinking about sustained success.
Hey,
sustained success means is, you have assets that you can go.
Cornelia said y'all views don't represent the chat either.
Hey. Hey, Cor. Y'all gonna hear me later now.
Hey,
now, one more point before my last point on this. Let's not be afraid to make a change, just in case the guy that they changed to is better.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
We don't know what we have in the guys behind. Listen, man, you can't fall in love with players, man.
Hey,
you cannot fall in love. We're fans of the Bears team, not just the player, each player individually, man. So if a player has to move on, if it's the best for him and the best for the Bears, I'm all for it, dog. It's on to the next one.
CBP,
it's next man up, man. What they say, next man up.
CBP film just put it dead on the bullseye. Y'all ain't loyal.
That is, we're loyal to the team. We're not loyal to the team.
Y'all
loyal to the
team.
We loyal to the team, dog. We talking about building a better, stronger team.
Ungrateful
Bears team, not just having a player, an older player at that.
We drafted him, so he has to retire here.
No,
he's 29. Really he's not old. Don't say that.
All right, dog.
I wish I was 29.
Football years.
Hey, these guys do not represent the views of Nomad Network. I promise you that. We think different of Eddie Jackson, man. I can't believe y'all went there.
Well, nobody said that he's not good. We just said we need to maximize his value while he is good.
While he's still good. Exactly. We're not saying he's not good.
Why you playing lazy boy GM, man? Sit down somewhere. You ain't got nothing to do with that business.
Wait. You say lazy boy GM as I lean back in my chair.
Man. Hey, you know what? That was a fun conversation, man. But let me be clear one more time, man. Eddie Jackson is going to have a Pro Bowl season. I think he's going to cement himself another contract with this team if he can stay healthy. And we're going to find out real soon here. I'm telling you, the fact that him being back there behind those two high caliber linebackers, plus Jack Sanborn, plus Sewell, or who's ever in that rotation, is gonna pay dividends, man.
Mm-hmm.
This is his second year in a 4-3. Don't forget that too. He hadn't played in a 4-3 before last year, and when he was out there before he got hurt, he was on his way to a Pro Bowl season. Wouldn't you agree? Would anybody disagree with that? Was he not on his way to a Pro Bowl season
last year? Oh yeah, before he got hurt. Yeah. Oh yeah, he was. Yeah, he was definitely on his way to a Pro Bowl.
So what you think gonna happen in year 2?
I'm not saying it's not gonna happen, Nomad. That's what everybody. That's what y'all don't understand. I'm not saying that's not gonna happen. What I'm saying is, how long is that gonna happen? How many more seasons are we gonna see like that? You know, he might have a great freaking season this year. Great freaking season, right? He might get 8 picks this season.
How do you know how old?
Do we think he's gonna get 8 the next year too?
How do you know how old Charles Woodson was when he retired? Anybody in the chat?
33, 34.
Okay, there you go. Some guys can play longer and have better attrition than others.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think Eddie Jackson has a lot of meat left on the tire. Why? Because he played one way, one style his whole career, and here came this new coach to breathe new life into him and another style of defense. He found his way through that and found his way around it and was able to shine somehow before that freak injury, a non-contact injury, took him out for the rest of the season. If he can stay healthy, he is going to be one of the top dogs in the league in takeaways. I'm telling you. I'm just telling you that right now. I don't want Bojack going nowhere. Bojack goes on, man, I don't even want to talk about it, man. I'm ready to move on from that subject, man, because
we're going to talk about it during the season. We're going to talk about this all season, chat, right, Trip?
Man, they ain't gonna never forget y'all for that, man.
Hey, just be prepared, because Ryan Poles, he may come out and be like, all right, we have a long-term plan and Bojack's not a part of it. You know, don't be mad. Just be like, let the GM do his GM.
Exactly.
Man,
and I can see it happening. That's all we saying is we can see this happening. We just saw
Eddie's gonna earn another contract.
We saw what happened with Smith, Roquan, right? And we saw what happened with Monty, right? All right, now
team leaders.
Were they not team leaders, ballers?
I'm gonna say this one more time.
That's what I'm saying. It could happen.
He's gonna get a third contract. He's gonna put up that good. He's gonna play that well in this defense. He's gonna get another contract. He's probably gonna retire here. So I'm just gonna tell you that now. But let's move on, because we can get carried on in this conversation all night. Let's talk about Tyreek Stevenson, rookie cornerback from Miami, man. You know what? I got gas for him too, man. But I'm gonna let you guys take off on him first.
I'll kick it off. I remember watching just random football games, and down there at Miami, they got the turnover chain. That, you know, you get a turnover on defense, you get to wear the bling, and, you know, boom, boom, boom. And it's like, you know, just watching the game, it's, turnover. And it's like Stevenson, you know, with the chain, it's, he's good. It's like Stevenson with that kid's good. And then we draft him. It's like, okay. His long arms, his athletic ability, his attitude. He is a number one corner in development. He's not, you know, a number 2, number 3 guy. He is the guy back there at cornerback. And, you know, if he's pushing, he's already beat Vildor, and I haven't even seen him play as far as I'm concerned. And so it's like, Jalen, do we give you 2 years, 14, 15 million, 18 guarantee? Or do we trade you for whatever pick and let Tyreek come in and, you know, take your spot and have the rest of the cornerbacks battle for the rest of the spots?
Guy that moves from the SEC to the ACC and balls out, you know, like you said, Trip. He left Georgia, went down to Miami, didn't miss a beat, man. Went down there balling. It's surprising to me that we were even able to pick this guy up, man. The guy has it all. He has speed, length, size. You know, he's physical. You know, he has it all, everything you need to be a number one corner in this league, you know, and he has that coverage ability. He'll jam you at the line of scrimmage. You know, he can play, you know, this style of defense is going to be really good for him too, because he'll be able to face the ball in the zone. So he'll be able to break on balls, man, and get either tip passes or maybe get his hands on a couple of interceptions this season, man. I think we got a steal in Tyreek Stevenson, and just looking forward to seeing what's going to happen, man, this season with that guy. That's going to be a baller.
Well, just for the record, and I'm gonna tell you guys in the chat, man. I think I've said this a couple times. I spend a lot of time watching Indianapolis Colts film when Flus was the coach there. His years there, what it looked like early, what it looked like right before he left, and in relation to Tyreek Stevenson, I was watching Indianapolis Colts film, and I'm watching every DB out there from. What's his name? Number 37, the safety, to the corners, Rogers, and even the slot corner. What's his name? Can't think of his name right now. Number 23, Kenny Moore. I'm watching every guy out there, but I'm gonna tell you what guy that really stuck out to me watching the Colts film, and I can directly relate this to. And don't pay any attention to this player's age. Just think about his measurables and think about Tyreek Stevenson. It's Xavier Rhodes.
Xavier Rhodes. That's what I was thinking about. Yeah, I was just about to look his name up. I couldn't remember his name. Yep.
And so Xavier was one of those guys. I mean, and you think he just played boundary corner. No. He played some big nickel. He played big dime. And he played boundary. He even played in the slot sometimes, depending on who was hurt where. You know, I mean, he was very valuable to what Flus did in that defense. Even though he was older, they thought they had written that guy off before Flus got his hands on him. And so I think Flus saw the value in Xavier, that big, fast, physical corner that really strikes. You know, this guy, Xavier, will hit you. And so will Tyreek. And I think he sees the value in that. I think he sees those traits in relation to Xavier Rhodes and how effective he was in that defense. And so I would challenge you guys, go look at some Indianapolis Colts film when Xavier was there, and you tell me if I'm reading this right or not. But I'm telling you right now, Eberflus sees Xavier Rhodes and Tyreek Stevenson.
He definitely has that physicality, man. He plays with that same chip on his shoulder, not afraid to come up, and put his pads on somebody and put somebody to the ground. So yeah, I can definitely see that. I didn't think about it until you would just started talking about it, and I was like, man, there was a guy on that defense who was pretty physical. I couldn't think of his name, and I remember where he come from. Was it the Vikings?
I think the Vikings had him.
Yeah, the Vikings had him, because I remember we used to play Xavier Rhodes all the time, and he had a bad season with the Vikings before he went over there, and it's just like, man, I thought this dude sucked. Now he's out there balling again. So yeah, I can definitely see that comparison.
Nomad, let me ask you this: as a DB, they say that the tougher competition that you go against in practice helps you hone your game. If Tyreek is going up against DJ Moore in practice, is he going to think he'll learn some stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, he's heck yeah, man. There's layers to that, man, because what's beautiful about it is he's your teammate. That's the first thing. It's not like you're going against the enemy. And so if he killed you on a route and just absolutely left you stranded and messed your feet up and got you all out of alignment, if the smart DB is gonna walk right up to him after that play or after practice and say, hey man, what was that on that stem? What did you do? You got me all the way off. I know I did it all the time. I covered pretty well, man, but it was we had a guy from Plantation, Florida on the team, best route runner on the team, man, fast as SHIT, and had really good feet, man. He was equally quick and fast, so he was dangerous that way. And he got me a couple times, and that's when I was just really green. But to his credit, he was a senior. He will tell you, if I was to call him and put him on the show, he'll tell you right now, that cat came up and asked me question after question after question. And it wasn't no longer than a couple of practices later, I had it. So basically, yes, Trip, you that cross pollination, you would say, with the defense and the offense, and having those guys get together and say, hey man, what was this on this? What was that on that? Heck yeah, man, you're gonna learn.
Cool. And also having all that speed on offense that we have too is gonna help him a lot. You know, we DJ Moore isn't the only receiver we have on our team this year. That's the beauty in having a better wide receiver room. It makes the entire defense a lot better. Iron sharpens iron. We
Yeah,
got guys who are full of speed on our defense, and that's going to help our defense in general this offseason.
yeah, he's gonna learn. He's gonna learn so much from all those receivers. Mooney, EQ, especially he gonna learn a lot from probably the most underrated player on the offense is probably Dante Pettis. He can learn a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably outside of DJ Moore, probably the best route runner on the team.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Moore is a hell of a route runner. Dante Pettis is a hell of a route runner. I would give the edge to DJ because he's more effective. But
Mm-hmm.
don't sleep on Dante Pettis. That guy is a hell of a route runner, especially at the top of his routes when he stems it, whether he's going left or right. You never really know, man. So you have to really study a guy like him. If you're a defender like Tyreek, you got to really, really put in the work and watch guys on their stems, and so you can be ahead of the game when the lights are on. Man, you got to be able to do that in real time while you're tired. So
Yep.
yeah, Tyree got a lot to learn, man. He's not gonna have it right away. He's gonna get toe up early in the season, but somewhere during the season, man, it's gonna all start slowing down for him like it did for Kyle.
Yep. Absolutely.
So just one added thing about Tyreek Stevenson. I said this, I believe, last week. I'm gonna say this one more time. He's gonna have to cross train. So he did not like playing slot when he was in Georgia. He's gonna have to get comfortable in that spot here because all of Eberflus's corners, even at Indianapolis, man, they play all over the place, man. So it did not matter whether you wanted to be a boundary corner or a slot corner. You need to cross train at both. And so
Yeah, I think you definitely cross train, but do we throw him out there in the game? No, if he's not comfortable there, he's not playing well there in practice. You think we throw him out there in the game? Because I think that was the problem with Gordon last year. I think we put a lot on Gordon's plate. He was playing the corner on the outside and he was playing the nickel. And I think that was a lot to digest because, like you said, that slot position, there's a lot of responsibilities on the slot, especially in this Eberflus defense, as we were talking about earlier this offseason. Just the fact that you know how they move along with the slot receiver if they're going into motion. And, you have to determine if you're going to go and drop into a zone or if you're going to play a man-to-man defense and know exactly where your landmarks are on the field based off of which side of the field you're on. That's a lot to put on a rookie, who you just want to go out there and play fast and play hard, So I think that was a mistake last year that we made with Gordon that I don't want to see them make with Tyreek Stevenson this year. I feel like we should just allow him to be the best freaking outside corner he could be, allow Gordon to play that nickel back, and that's probably why we're looking at another guy to bring in that nickel to add that depth to that position so that we don't have to put Tyreek out there and force him to learn multiple positions, as a rookie.
Samuel, hold on, Trip. I'm sorry, man. I apologize, but I have to say this every week. Seem like it's always somebody that ain't watched the show and just hearing me for the first time. So let me repeat this.
Mm-hmm.
Aldo asked me this directly on the bar room, and he was, man, hey, Gordon was getting toe up, man. He was getting toe up, and it was just like he was just like, hey, Nomad, do you think we should have him out there, man? He's getting abused. I'm like, dude, there's no way to learn this stuff unless you go out there and take your licks. It's more or less I told Aldo, you gotta take your beating. You gotta take your beating like a man. And what's more important than taking those licks is what did you learn from it? Yeah. The game is still really fast to you. It's really fast, and everything is flying at you at 110 miles an hour. When it slows down, how much better are you going to be able to make decisions? How much better are you going to be at your alignments and knowing how to adjust to a crossing pattern that's trying to pick you? All that kind of stuff that you have to learn as a nickel cornerback. You can't be afraid to let that guy take his lumps. He's going to be better on the other side of that, guaranteed, if he's learning anything.
And that's why, I'm looking at it from the aspect of I don't think they would have put too much on his plate if he couldn't digest it. So he has the intelligence and the physical ability to play both positions. It's just he was a rookie. He had to learn it. And so a lot of people were upset that, he didn't come in and wasn't automatically a Sauce Gardner. That he wasn't, looking like, oh, rookie of the year. It's like, oh, we should have drafted Pickens, a wide receiver instead. This guy sucks. But as he started to learn and the season went along, it's like, oh, okay, well, he can make some plays there. Oh, okay, well, he can play on the outside too on the boundary and make some plays. Okay, well, he's not horrible. And it's like, let the, kid be a rookie for a half a season, for Christ's sake, and let him learn. And so going into this year, he has that base of knowledge at nickel and corner. He may not be able to do them both at the same level, but he knows how to do them. And that throwing him into the fire to the deep end of the pool, sink or swim, he was, for a little bit, but he started getting a little doggy paddle on. He started getting a little strokes on by the end of the season. So I think that that will pay off. And it just depends on the mental acuity of these players as well, how many positions they can handle.
And just to add to that really quick, man, the one benefit that he's got going for him that Kyler did not have last year, Kyler was smacked like the first pick right in the middle of a rebuild, right?
Mm-hmm.
So much was expected of him. And, he didn't have the benefit of what this defense will look like now. These DB's their jobs all together, it's going to be a lot easier than what Kyler and Jaquan and those guys had to deal with last year, just because of the competent pieces that's been placed around it. So Tyreek has that going for him,
That's a good point. He does have that going for him. I'll give you that. Like everything around him is a lot better than what Gordon would have had last season. I just feel like I'm from the mindset of just putting players in position to succeed, and have immediate success, early success, and then, piling onto that plate. But I think that Eberflus, like you said, he just fills the plate and say, hey, go ahead and see how much you're just going to digest. Like, you're going to sink or you're going to swim. We're going to see there what happens, but you're going to do it, and you're going to learn from it. I just got a different mindset when it comes to that. I think that could ruin a player. Some players are just not mentally tough enough to come out of that. If you're not having success, you're getting beat play after play, you're trying to digest from position to position, it's not for everyone. And I think that, I think maybe they felt like Gordon was mentally strong enough to handle it. And he did. To his defense, like he did towards the end of the season, he was balling. And I can't say, exactly which position he played more of, whether it was the nickel or the outside of the boundaries, but he was playing well at both. And I just don't want to see Tyreek have those struggles early in the year if we're trying to just win games. If we can keep him on the outside and Gordon is playing well on the inside, then what's the reasoning for moving him into that inside during the games? Maybe in practice we could do that. We could tinker around with that, and get him familiar with that spot. But in the game, until he's shown us that he's solid, I don't see why we would put him in the game in that situation.
You know what it brings me? It gives me flashbacks because I got thrown into the fire as a freshman in high school, thrown into a fire as a freshman in college. And every time, it's a confidence thing, really. It's a confidence thing. And are you sharp enough to know your shortcomings, and what would you do to do something about it, to fix it? And what the question Tripp asked me is a part of that answer, is making sure that you do your homework and you go ask enough questions and get better at what you're doing. And it's eventually, man, it's not going to be a whirlwind for you. Eventually it's going to slow down. You're going to see everything that people can throw at you, and you're going to know how to respond to everything. But there was I think it was a part of the night. No, I was looking at a show that we about to talk about Tyler Scott. Let's just slide into that conversation right now. Tyler Scott was on another podcast yesterday, and he was talking about the difference between, playing in college and playing against real professionals who have some years of experience. And he was talking, he kind of said the same thing about DJ Moore, just learning from him, and he just got a different air about him. You could just tell he's been there. You know what I mean? He's like, I do this, dude. This is what I do. He said, you see the same thing in Jalen Johnson. And so it's a certain amount of reps you're gonna get if you're lucky enough. If you get a certain amount of reps, man, that confidence just grows and grows. Like, and we're talking about Tyreek, but the idea of not playing him because you're uncomfortable with him taking L's on reps is no reason to not play him. You got to put him through the rigor so he can get better. And I would do the same thing if I was Flus. Let him go out there and compete. You'll figure it out, man.
In both positions, I'm saying in both positions. I'm not saying not to put him out there on the boundary, because I think he's gonna lock up a starting position.
He's twitchy enough to play nickel. I'm telling you that, and physical enough. Yes.
Oh yeah, I think he has the physical ability, and I think that he could play the position. I think he has the physical ability to play the position. I'm thinking about the mental aspect of the game and the games that teams could play with him to confuse him. Do we want to do that to him early on when we don't have to? If there's no need to do that, if we have a guy who we know is solid at that position, and Gordon, who played well last year, and we said we're going to put him at that position this year, do we interchange those two guys just in the middle of the game just for the heck of it? Or
yes. Deion
Mm-hmm.
Buford just kind of tells you coverage going to roll to the side of Stevenson just because Jalen Johnson. I mean, Jalen, he's got to know that ahead of time. They're going to pick on you. You're a rookie.
Yeah,
that's what quarterbacks do. They find rookies and they go after them.
Yep. Yeah, they coming at him this year. That's why I think he's going to make plays. He's a playmaker too. So I want him to go at him. The guy's going to make some plays. They're going to give him opportunities to shine. And I think he's going to step up to the plate and make those plays. So,
yeah, I'm not worried about him, man. All I know is he's got a real solid core group of guys around him. And so his shortcomings won't be glaring as much as they probably would have been last year if he'd have come onto the team with that unit.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a lot more, let's say, capable pieces to work with this unit right here. So I'm not worried about Tyreek. I think the more diversity of assignments they give him, the better he's going to be in the long run. Hell yeah, he can play nickel. He's twitchy enough, and he's
definitely twitchy enough. I think that and like you said, he does have better pieces around him. Our linebacker corps this year is much better than what Gordon had to deal with last year. Those guys, we didn't have guys that can cover last year at linebacker. That was obvious. That's why we spent all this money on linebackers. So I think that will, help Tyreek Stevenson if he's put into that position as well.
Hey, Oliver Chapman, man, peace out. Love, peace, and hair grease, man. See you next time. Thank you for coming, man. Yeah, catch it on the rebound, man.
Right, and everybody out there, you can catch the rebroadcast on the Nomad Network there on YouTube. Every Thursday night live, we bring you Nomad Live talking about the Bears. And don't forget on Sunday nights, Nomad at Night. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button, hit the noties, and hit the likes, and stay up to date with all of our discussion, as you were, Nomad.
Thank you, sir. That was very good. Yes, I did know what Trip just said, but let's get to Tyler, because I believe, listen, Tyler, the more and more I learn about Tyler Scott, the more and more I like him. I don't know how those guys got him on the podcast. Maybe I'm not doing a good enough job, but it's a brand new podcast that got him on there. And I'm just like, dog, I gotta do a better job. I need to reach out to guys on some different platforms, man. I've been stuck on Twitter, and I think people are kind of like sliding away from Twitter a little bit. You know what I mean?
You're doing fine, bro. Don't worry about it. You're doing fine. Carry on.
All right. But yeah, we got he did a show the other night with a guy, I can't remember the name of it. I think it was BFR or something podcast. So shout out to those guys for getting Tyler Scott on there, man. And it was a real good show, man. They gave Tyler the floor to kind of speak, and he was really in depth about what it's like to be a rookie coming into a system of learning the West Coast offense. How many times, Samo? How many times, and Trip, how many times have you guys heard me sit here and say until I'm blue in the face? That is the most difficult thing I have ever seen as a football player was a West Coast offensive playbook. It is difficult. And he said it on that show. Go back and check. I think it's BFR podcast or something like that. Listen to Tyler Scott tell you himself on that show. It's like a whirlwind. It's like, hold on, man, slow down, man. Like, can you repeat that? We're talking about in the huddle when he's getting the calls. It's that much going on in just the verbiage.
Mm-hmm.
And so this guy with the arrow on him, Valus Jones, that everybody wants to run out of town. Everybody's, dude, that dude had so much to learn. And Ebner, it was so much for them dudes to learn, man. I expect to see a whole lot better player in their second years than we saw last year. I'll just say that. But Tyler Scott told you everything you want to know about how hard it's going to be for him to perform given what he knows about this system. He is not going to just take off as soon as they put him on the field and just be tearing up the league. No, he's got a lot to learn, and it's going to take some time.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That dude, we've been talking about it all off season, how hard it is for receivers to come into the NFL and have success. And it's especially a lot harder for guys who are entering into, a developing, offense in West Coast offense and what we had. This was Luke Getsy's first year as an offensive coordinator. He had to come in and figure out, how to teach it to the guys too. For the guys to digest it a little bit easier. We didn't have any, veteran wide receivers who were elite enough to, take some of the slack off of the guys who were here last year. We know that, offense in general is hard to play in the NFL. We haven't had a great offense here in Chicago in a very long time, very, very long time. So it'll be interesting to see what Tyler brings to the table. I think in watching that 1920, the Bears are really high on this dude. He has a lot to bring to the table in speed, his agility and in open field. And I know he was an ex-running back as well. He played running back, I think, in high school. So which shows with the way he runs the ball. So gonna be good to see, man.
It's a difficult situation, being a rookie learning a playbook. Because, when they bring you along slow, you learn, let's say, 20 plays. And then every week with a different game plan, they introduce another 20 plays. So now, up to 40 plays, up to 60 plays, up to 80 plays, and so on. These are pros. It's like, here's your playbook. It's probably all digital now. But, there are a couple hundred plays in there. And it's like, it's still football that you've been playing your whole life, but it's like, all right, this is the NFL now. These guys are at the top of their game. The coordinators are, doing things to disguise things, to confuse you, but once you get the understanding and now you can play fast and not think, it's just going out and playing football. Now, it's like, all right, the linebacker's going over there. That safety's going over there. That means I have to cut the route this way and go that way because Justin Fields is looking at that. And then you get that, communications. Once you develop that, then you just look at each other, and then he looked at you as like, well, he looked at me, so I knew to go this way and that way. That just comes with time and, experience, so let the kids develop. Don't be so quick to run everybody out of town because there was not one, Ebner, Claypool when he got here, Valus, everybody seemed to have a learning curve with this offense. Some shorter than others, but we have to let them develop and learn before we be like, he's a bust.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's kind of hard sometimes being knowing football the way I know football and communicating with some of our fan base because I don't want to get too, I don't want to get too. I might start striking out at people if I start, responding to my first instincts because people don't listen, man, and it's hard to explain to a person, especially people who hadn't put on the pads before. That's a whole other thing, but you can know football and not have put on the pads. That's totally fine. But I'm talking about people who aren't willing to be, you know, people you can't explain things to people and they don't want to accept. They've already run away with the narrative they want to run away with, and they're sticking to it, kind of. And I'm constantly talking to people about this stuff, and it's just like, I'm working on probably my third time of watching last year all the games, and Vegas, you can tell right away early part of the season, they really just wanted to, expose him on special teams, right? Because he just didn't know enough of the offense and wasn't understood. And the quarterback didn't trust him enough. Even when they put him in the game, the quarterback wasn't targeting him because he knew Valus didn't know enough. They're gonna get out there and they're gonna have a miscommunication on a down and distance when they really need him to make a play on the ball. And he just didn't know enough, so they didn't even target him. And so you have that going on. Tyler Scott, he may have a shorter learning curve. Talking about learning curves, it might be 2, 3, 4 games before he really, really, really starts to get it and it starts to sink in. I don't know, but everybody's learning curve is different, and so I expect Tyler Scott to have some boom pop plays. Hell yeah, do I? Yes, he's gonna have some huge plays, but it's gonna take time for him to get it. And it's going to take a certain amount of Justin being comfortable with what he knows Tyler understands versus when we think they should be having breakout plays, Chris, what's up?
Hey, Nomad, do you see a Johnny Knox comp with Tyler Scott?
Oh God,
Speed, that's about it.
Yeah.
He's bigger than Johnny Knox though, physically.
He's bigger than Johnny Knox. And Johnny was probably a better route runner too when he came in. Johnny could run some routes. I don't know if Tyler is as technical as Johnny was as a route runner, but that speed is definitely there. For Tyler to be successful, let's think about what it takes to be successful at wide receiver. You have to be able to run full speed, recognize coverage, and know what route adjustments to make. All within a drop of a dime, within a few seconds, within milliseconds. I have to run full speed, recognize if the defense is in a zone or a man, and then know which route to run and what route adjustments to make. Because I can mess up, the other guy's route if I run the wrong route, or I could just not be in the right place, and Justin could throw the ball there and allow an interception. So it's a lot to think about as a wide receiver. And I think last year Valus, that's a struggle for anyone who hasn't had to do that. In a lot of college offenses, they don't do that, man. They're calling plays from the sideline. You got one route to run, you go run your route, and that's it. We're gonna get you open. We're gonna throw you the ball if you open. If you're not open, we're gonna throw the other guy the ball. In college, it's a lot more simple. So, with this West Coast offense being a little more complex, let's not jump on Tyler's back if he struggles early on, and give him the benefit of the doubt, and give all our receivers the benefit of the doubt early on in the season until, they start to gel and things start coming together. Last year was the first year Justin was in this offense too. So you got a quarterback who's also learning the offense and knowing where to go and reading things a little bit quicker this year, hopefully than last year.
Well,
Tyler Scott, 5'11", 177. Johnny Knox, 6 foot, 185.
Ooh.
Tyler Scott
Really?
is much faster than Johnny Knox. Not only that,
Johnny Knox ran a 4.34.
I think he's quicker and faster than Johnny Knox. But he's saying J2K saying Johnny Knox is more elusive. Nah, man. The more you study Tyler Scott, this dude is very, very elusive, man. And I know we big fans of Johnny Knox because that's how we are. We Bears fans and we love our guys forever. But yeah, man, I don't put nothing past this dude right here, man. Tyler Scott's different, man.
Mm-hmm.
So hey, real quick, man. Producer said he has a promo for us, so you guys to help us out with the algorithm. You got that, producer?
Find us on Facebook, the Nomad Network, Nomad Live, Nomad at Night, a MFer in the kitchen. Like, follow, and share.
MFer in the kitchen.
Huh?
You got your
Somebody
own
call?
universe now, huh?
Hey man, I'm just trying to give the people what they want, and they want triple R that MF in the kitchen. And we just trying to give it to them. That's all we doing.
Hey man, we already lost a producer, man, because it was taking too long, man. They wanted to get up out of here, but we had to give the people what they want, man. We got to finish the show up. Anybody got any final thoughts on Tyler Scott, man? Because I do think it's going to take him some time, but once he does make the adjustments and the game really slows down for him and he understands the verbiage and knows what to do in real time as the play is happening, that's when he's going to get better. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that, some guys digest it faster than others. We've seen guys who come into the league and hit the ground running. And we see some guys, take a year or two and then they hit the ground running. It's starting to sound from the coaches that Tyler might be one of those guys that's going to hit the ground running, man. So I wouldn't be surprised if he has some early success, but I'm not going to be down on him, like I said, if he doesn't.
Being a rookie, we want to let him develop, want to let him learn, but with his physical ability, he has the speed to, beat the number 2 or 3 corner that he's matched up on, or Lord forbid he gets a linebacker, and he has those physical traits to be able to, take it to the house at any given moment. It's just his mentals and being open and, and Justin Fields getting him the ball and then going from there. So at any given moment with that speed, he can take it to the house. It's just getting him there, mentally.
I feel you, man. I feel you. We're gonna have more conversations about Tyler Scott, man, because I do have a whole lot more to say about that. But I do know that we have 2 more guys to get to, and let's get to Darnell Wright. What kind of season do you guys think? I think he's gonna. You know what? I'll let you guys go ahead first. What do you guys think about that?
Big dog. Looking forward to seeing. This is why I'm looking so forward to training camp right now, to see guys like Darnell Wright and DeMarcus Walker, the guys in the trenches who we really haven't had a good chance to evaluate so far in the offseason. You get to see what these guys really have to offer. And we already know what it is with Darnell Wright, man. It's a big dancing bear out there, man, who will maul you. I'm looking forward to seeing this dude this year, man. I think he's going to have a lot of success, on that edge. He's going to hold his own over there. And we're just praying that he stays healthy more than anything. As far as the season goes, I think that he's going to be good.
I think he is basically penciled in as a starter, at the, number 9 pick, number 10 pick. So, he has that pedigree to come in and dominate, be that wall on the right-hand side if that's where he's going to be playing. But let's cut the kid some slack being a rookie in the National Football League, no matter what position he was picked in, because there will be some defensive ends that will beat him and get around that corner and put some pressure and even sack, Justin Fields. So let's not write him off or say, oh, he's giving up too many. Now, if you're giving up a lot of sacks, that's different. But he's not going to be perfect. So let's not go into the season thinking, oh, well, he's not going to give up any sacks, and then he does, and you think, well, he's a bust. Let the kid develop. But I think he's going to be a nasty SOB, as Greg Gabriel said. Shout out. What up, Aldo? Bye, Father. And he's just a mean so-and-so that you will not be able to fully appreciate his game until the pads come on.
Mm-hmm.
See, listen, man, when you get a like pedigree was a great word to use, Trip. That was a really good word to use. I'm gonna break this down to the most basic.
I got the best words.
That's a good one. Hey, you know what? You got to get really, you got to really simplify Darnell Wright in terms of describing it. his pure mass and his feet. I was watching him on the 1920 drive. I wrote note after note after note, watching him get off the ball. And it's really elite for a 350, 360-pound man to be able to do that. It's really elite. I mean, he was off the ball. Sometimes I'm watching, I'm rewinding, watching again, we're rewinding. And, the guys, he's getting them off the ball. The coach is getting them off the ball. And it looks like he's the first one off. And Eberflus was really, really bugged out about it. He was really tripping on that in the video. He was just like, wow. Like they even underestimated how fast he would look on the field. And so, I mean, his for a guy that big to be able to move as briskly and as quickly as he does, man, he is really fluid with those hands that he has. It's just a matter of understanding what they're asking him to do, gelling with his teammates, and having everything, come together as one. Once that happens, man, I think we'll have probably our first rookie Pro Bowler. It's a possibility Darnell Wright will be our first rookie tackle Pro Bowl. I don't know if be honest with you, I don't know if we've ever had a guy that reached to that status, but I think that would be rare, man. And I think he's got the ability to do that right from the get-go.
Listen, we haven't even drafted many rookie tackles, so you're right. You're right in our lifetime. So you're absolutely right, man. He has that type of ability. Like he comes from that pedigree, man. He was dominant in college, in one of the toughest conferences in college, in the SEC, and he has it all. He has the size, he has the strength, he has great feet, and he also has like a lot of different pass sets that he likes to use. He's a very savvy player to be, such a young guy, and he's only going to get better as, he becomes a even older pro, a real pro player. So, the sky's the limit for him, man. I'm looking forward to big things from him.
Yeah. Let's for the older heads who might have a little snow on the roof or wherever you got your snow. How about Darnell Wright as a more athletic James Big Cat Williams?
Big Cat? Yeah, I remember Big Cat.
Hey, Mike Withrow, man, just shout out to you, Samo, because I never took that victory lap. But I knew sooner or later somebody would say something and would remember. He said, thanks for the reminder. Mike Withrow says, thanks for the reminder, Trip. Wright was the fourth guy Nomad brought up pre-draft that Gabriel was down on until the draft. Hey man, you gotta out scout the scouts, and so I put in work. Thank you, Mike, man. I'm glad somebody remembered that and somebody appreciated it because I put in hella work for the draft, and it just so happened that I wasn't with the bar room and I couldn't really put it on display like I wanted to. But I'm not mad about any of it. It gave birth to what you guys are seeing and listening to now, the Nomad Network. So all that stuff didn't go for naught, you know what I mean? So I work my behind off to make sure I know what I'm talking about. I don't have no problem with Greg Gabriel, but he was definitely wrong about several guys.
Yeah.
But all that
is what it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I ain't worried about that.
Yeah. You hit a few home runs this off season. Right. So you went around the bases a few times this offseason. So
it was like, look, y'all,
give you that.
Bruce loves that length, and Jervon Dexter is that dude.
Right.
And everybody's like, oh, no, you shut up. Jervon Dexter is our pick.
I was like, no man was right about that one. Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good call.
I'm going to have to redo his logo. The head's too small if y'all keep talking. You have to make it bigger.
Now we got a couple comments here that's interesting. J2K says Big Cat was a beast, but Darnell has better fluidity. And then Cornelia says Big Cat was never as good as Darnell Wright will be.
I agree with that, man. I think Darnell is more in the mode of a Trent Williams, man. I'm gonna put him right there with Trent Williams. That's who he reminds me of. He just plays on the opposite side of the football, man. He's playing the right tackle. I think he could play left, but I wouldn't tinker with that. I would keep him at right tackle. I think he has the ability to become the most dominant right tackle in the game, within the next couple of years. you know, and why tinker with that if we have a good guy, a good player in Braxton on the left side?
Hey, you know what, man? That's a good point. And you know how you can just sometimes you can just look at guys and just if you study enough football, you can just look like Trent Williams. The minute I saw him, I knew he was a grown man from day one. He was
Mm-hmm.
gonna be a grown man when he got in the league. I look at Darnell Wright. He was a grown man before he got in the league. He's gonna be a grown man on this level too. He's gonna
Yep.
be ready, man. This dude he's gonna dominate. I'm not saying
Yep.
he's not gonna take a couple of L's here and there, but that dude is gonna be dominant. You can
Yeah.
best believe that. You can
Mm-hmm.
take that. You can take that one to the bank. Say Nomad told you that. He's gonna be dominant.
Mm-hmm.
Believe me when I tell you. But you know, that's all we need to say about Darnell Wright, man. We can go a little further on Nomad at Night if we want to, but I can go on all day about Darnell Wright. He was absolutely one of those people that I was telling people like, no, everybody's like, oh, he's too big, he's too slow, he's not a fit. I'm like, are you watching the tape close enough?
Slow wear.
That
Slow
dude, you
wear.
haven't been watching this dude's feet? Like Jesus, for a dude
Right.
that big, I'm like fit my ass. That dude is a fit. You know, what are you talking about, guy? Like I seen that right away. But let's move on to Vela so we can finish up this podcast. I want to save something for Nomad at Night.
We didn't hit DeMarcus either, man. We hit
Oh,
Vegas one day.
yeah,
Let's
yeah.
hit DeMarcus Walker real quick, man. I don't want to miss this dude, man, because this dude been working his butt off this entire off season. He's been putting in that work everywhere he goes. It seems like, man, I've seen him on several different fields, man. It looks like some fields that are all dirt, no grass. He's still out there whooping. You know what I'm talking about, Trip. I'm just looking forward to seeing what this guy has to bring too, man, when the pass come on, because you know we keep saying we don't have at edge. We don't know what we don't have until we see what he's ready to bring, man. He could have one of those careers that Akeem Hicks had when he came here. You know, when Akeem Hicks came here, he wasn't a big name. You know, he was someone who was just starting to ascend in his career. And I think that's where we are picking up DeMarcus Walker right now. When he finally has figured everything out, he has, you know, figured out how to play as a pro, how to, you know, work his moves and everything, and, you know, build on his body, man, and get his strength up to be able to withstand an entire NFL season, you know, because, you know, early on, you know, you're going to break down as a rookie, you know, you're going to hit that wall because you don't have that strength. You haven't played those many games. You know, and some players, it takes a few years before they actually build up that strength and be able to, you know, go through that entire season. He put up last year the 7 sacks. I'm expecting 8 or better from him this year, regardless of where he plays.
He was not the starter in Tennessee. He was playing behind somebody in his, you know, up and coming years, his formative years. So now he has a little bit of experience. He's at that sweet spot in age and development, you know, physically and mentally. Plus, he has an attitude. You know, he came into the OTAs talking about, okay, MFers, let's go. What's up? You know, getting everybody fired up on the D line. You know, he's like, yo, let's go. I'm going to walk it like I talk it. I'm not just going to tell you to do it. I'm going to show you how to do it and then expect you to do it. And I love that attitude about it. Mm-hmm. And knowing that he is an up and comer, you know, that's why it's like, you know, Ngakoue, Frank Clark, you know, let the kids play. Walker can play defensive end. He can play 3 tech, you know, on, you know, whatever down the distance situation or scenario that they want to put him in. You know, there's all kinds of flexibility that he brings to the table, you know, with his experience, but not, you know, aged experience, but what he has in the league. And so I'm looking forward to it because I think he's going to make some noise out there and be like, look, y'all don't know who I am right now, but we're about to start selling those Walker jerseys in Soldier Field, and I expect them to be flying off the shelves.
Yep.
You know what I see? And I'm not going to repeat this again, but everybody knows I've been watching him since Florida State. There's a reason why he's in there with a Florida State uniform on, because that was my first recollection of him. I have been watching him. And you know what's unfortunate for some football players is some of them get written off. Why? Because you go through the turmoil of everything a person has to go through during the pro days, draft, and let's say you get drafted to a team that doesn't necessarily need your services that like right away. So you didn't get drafted because you're in need. You got drafted for depth, right? And so they're not in a real hurry to put you out there and play exactly the way in the place that you want to play. They're going to try, do things with you, try to turn you into a stand-up linebacker, try to turn you into an edge rusher or whatever it is that they wanted to do with him. So he went from team to team, and all these teams were trying different things with him. He caught an injury at one point in the season that really set him back a little bit when he was making some progress. And so imagine being a guy that's feeling like, you wanted the best. You feel like you wanted the best, and I'm just not getting my chance to do what I know I can do and put on the field the kind of product that I know I'm capable of being. And then all of a sudden, you get to Tennessee, and they put you in the position. On top of that, your body starts maturing in a way that they don't have to guess what you are. Your body's telling them that you're built to be a tackle more than you are an end. So they start playing you more as a tackle more than an end. And so he flourished there. They gave him reps. He still was not the starter, but they gave him reps, and he ate when he was at Tennessee. That earned him a 3-year contract with Chicago. But with that being said, he began to ascend under the leadership of the Titans and the coach they had there.
Mm-hmm.
What Flus saw on tape, I know, is the fact that this dude, they just broke the surface with him. He hasn't even started going up yet. Yep. Let's get him signed up. Let's put him on our team. Give him one simple job to do. Let him attack.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see what we can get out of him. I think he's going to be there's going to be several reveals during this season, man. And I think he's going to be one of the ones that's going to stick out with all the smoke.
Yep. Absolutely. He's a hunter, man. Like you said, go let him go hunt. He don't have to think too much. Just go get the ball, man.
It's attack.
Run your lane, rush in your lane, go get the ball. That's the one thing that we also haven't spoke about is that, now he's in our scheme, in Flus's scheme, defense. He hasn't never played in a defense like this. For him to now be able to just not have to think too much, be able to just rush and hit his one gap as opposed to two gapping and worrying about everything else. Now I'm just in attack mode the entire game. Let's see how well he plays in that style of defense. I think he's going to have a lot of success, man.
I've seen people talking about next year's draft. I'm not there yet, fellas. I'm too invested in what we got going on right now. So y'all gonna get a jump on me, but I'll catch up with y'all after the season. But I'm looking forward to too much in this season, man. There's so much to be excited about, man. I can't even think about. I'm not thinking about that at all, man. I'm not gonna think about it until we get there.
After the playoffs,
we can't be sending this season. We got to watch this season first, before we get that far.
Yeah. Cornelius makes a good point, man. Terrell Lewis has been playing out of position. Yes.
Yeah.
It's just you got guys with a lot of meat on the bone and have been unproven in this style of defense. We need to see what they have in this defense.
Right.
So, all right, let's move on to the guy with the red arrow, man. I was excited about these other guys, man, but I mean because this guy took such a whipping, man. I mean, it was almost unfair, but it was warranted at the same time. You made some bad plays out there. I don't know. The fumbling thing, that just really wore people out. You know what I mean? And it took people to the point of, I mean, you know how Twitter is and how Bears Twitter is. Once they get somewhere and they develop a narrative on a guy, J2K, man, me and him been in some knockdown dragouts about Velus, man, and me and him been going back and forth. We cool now, but Velus is, I think Velus is probably one of your more unique talents on the field, man. I mean, he is a difference maker. When he's got that ball in his hands, you just got to find out ways to get it in his hands. I think from what I've heard in the offseason, that his hands have become a whole lot better because he's been an animal attacking that jugs machine. And believe it or not, as a person who had a jugs machine, that will, and I got pretty good hands. That thing will make your hands stronger. Depends on how close you are catching that ball and what torque you putting on that jug machine when it's firing it at you. It will make your hands and your fingers stronger. So it's about the amount of reps you willing to take on that thing. Your hands will be sore, they'll hurt a little bit, but you gotta, give them a break and then get back out there and jump right back on it, man. Your hands will, and your fingers and your grab will get a whole lot stronger. And from what I understand, he's doing a whole bunch of that.
Right.
Chris.
What you got, Chris?
I would say Dante Pettis will be cut because of Bayless.
See, I don't want Pettis to go.
They're not gonna cut EQ.
I think it's gonna be EQ. I think it's gonna be EQ, man.
Hey, after the show, we're gonna place a wager.
I think it's more EQ than it'd be. I
know you love Pettis, man.
I love him too, man.
From a DB's perspective, watching him run routes, he's hell. I wouldn't want to have to guard him. And so, just as well as
I think what we all agree on is it's not going to be Bayless. Bayless is going to be a weapon this year.
No way.
I think the common discussion is those three names. Who's going to go, Bayless or the other two? It's not going to be Bayless. Bayless is going to be a weapon this year, and I'm confident with that.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be Pettis.
Okay, it's going to be
take that to the house,
Pettis and EQ. I think the route running and playmaking ability favors Pettis.
Mm-hmm. I do too, and the fact that he plays some special teams, plays well on special teams too. If we need a guy to return kicks, he's there, and I think he's also played some gunner even last year. Look, man, Pettis had a few drops last season, but him and Justin Fields seem to have some type of chemistry going on, man. Like, he knows where to be, and Justin trusts him a little bit, because he was putting the ball on him, in wide open position sometime. But as far as Bayless goes, dog, there is no way in hell that Bayless will not be a Chicago Bear the entire season next year. Okay, guys, you can get that out of your head. If you're thinking that Bayless is a bust, get that out of your head, man. The dude, he had a rough year as a rookie, guys. You got to give this guy some slack, man. He was a slow starter. That's it, man. He got down on himself. He had a few bad plays, and it snowballed on him. Towards the end of the year, he got it together. He was balling. He made a play maybe every game the last 5 or 6 games, man. He made a nice play, 30 yards or better,
Right.
Let's build on that. And that's what he's looking forward to, building on that. Like Nomad said, the man working on his hands. And as far as a returner, man, this is going to be Hester 2.0, Allow him to develop, and let's see what he does this year.
That judge machine will get you right, man. It will get your hands together, and if you can take the torque of that, come on.
He'll be Cecil Turner 2.0.
That's his way of saying, man, we need to get up out of here, man. Hey, so
all right, so just let me finish up with this. EQ is like, well, he gets his guy from Green Bay. He knows the offense. He's an excellent blocker, but he's not really seen as a threat as a wide receiver. And my issue with Pettis is, he was a higher draft pick. He didn't really pan out, or is it San Francisco where he was? And then he is here, and we can see the athletic ability, but he just doesn't, threaten defenses, or, he doesn't need a double team. They'll single team him. And when he does make a catch, it's not like he's, electric after, even with all of his physical ability. I mean, so it's like, all right, he's okay, but he's not like, you know what I mean? He's not like a number 1, 2, or 3 wide receiver, I don't think. He's like a number 4 guy, or a guy that can fill in as a number 3 when necessary.
Was that Pettis?
Yes, Pettis.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. He's not a number 1, 2, or 3. I think he can fill in at 3 if we needed him to, though. But yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that. And that's the reason we keep him over EQ. Like you say, EQ doesn't spark fear in any defense, man.
No.
And after you know what, I'm gonna be honest with you. After that Dolphins game last year, EQ became a little bit more expendable for me, dog.
That's why, yeah, the hate remains from the draw pass.
Listen,
I get it.
I'm still fuming from that one, but
They love EQ because he blocks. That's why they love him.
Hey,
they do.
I would just challenge you guys. Anybody that's got any questions about Dante Pettis, do me a favor. All you have to do, and I can't. Everybody didn't play DB or play cornerback, but as a cornerback, you watch him on all 22, and this is what most players are watching. Getting ready for games and trying to figure out what they're gonna do in matchups against somebody. They're watching the all 22. You see these guys get off and watch how he stems his route to go whichever route he's going, man. And he had the sorry AWS unfortunate situation that he became the number one receiver at some point in the season last year for the Bears. He ain't that. But you watch this guy's route running ability. As a DB, I can tell you from experience, that guy is dangerous. That guy is dangerous and can get open on almost anybody in the league. I don't care what you say about whatever corner. They're going to have problems guarding that guy. EQ doesn't mount that kind of a challenge to a DB. And he doesn't scare me at all when I look at his all 22. As a matter of fact, I'm not saying he can't be effective, but he doesn't worry me as much as I would worry about a matchup with Dante Pettis. I'm just telling you guys that right off the top. You think I'm kidding? Go watch the all 22.
Well, Getsy is his connection. That's the thing. You have to remember Getsy's there. That's why he's there. He was with Getsy at Green Bay. That's why I think he'll stay.
All right. You guys, man, this has been a great show, man. And I promise you, we're going to have to keep talking about some more guys, man. You know what? I can't promise a part 3, man, because some things could happen in the next couple of days before we see you guys on Sunday. And so we kind of have to keep the door open, man. We got to keep the door open. But if nothing happens, we will continue this conversation in a I guess with a different thumbnail and a different way of carrying the conversation. But it could be a lot of things that can happen. Man, we might sign some guys, a guy or two before camp that might have to dominate that conversation. So I don't know what just happened on the screen, but you guys have any last thoughts before we wrap this up?
Samo?
I'm just ready, baby. Let's get it, baby. Bear down. It's time.
Yeah.
It's time. Pads about to be on. When? By next Saturday, the pads will be on. And we'll know what we have, man, a few weeks after that, man. Looking forward to the first preseason game. Looking forward to all the good news that's going to come out of training camp, man, especially from, the guys in the trenches where I like to get my money at,
Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
All right, all I got to say, thanks for everybody tuning in on Facebook, on YouTube, on the podcast, and just a shameless promo for MF in the Kitchen this Sunday night on Nomad at Night. I'm going to put something sweet, salty, and savory on your tongues.
I don't even want to know what that is, man. Just be quiet, man, until Nomad at Night. How about that?
Mm-hmm. Just let me know as a little teaser, if you will. Just prepare for it because I'm coming at you full force.
All right, man. Hey, man, this is a fun show, man. The conversation was spirited. Everybody in the chat kept bringing it. Everybody feels a certain kind of way this time of year. I think Trip and Samo, I think we're getting ready to trade them to the Packers this week and get something. we want a 6th-round pick, a 7th-round pick for them.
Oh, no.
That's all we need for them two cats.
Hey, we're going to see.
It's all speculation. It's all love. But, all we want to do is see them start. Yeah.
We Bears fans. We just want to win, baby. Just win, baby. Just win.
That's right, man. Hey, man, this was fun, man. I had a blast doing this show, man. Chuck, thank you, man. Thank all you guys in the chat, man. This was great, man. I enjoy these kind of conversations, man, and hopefully the themes of the show keep the conversation going. I think we got a hell of a show planned for Sunday. We have a good concept for the show. I don't know what it's all going to be, but I have a really good concept for for the show, and I think you guys are like that. So make sure you tune in Sunday night, 8 p.m. Central for Nomad at Night, man. So with that said, on behalf of the network, Triple R, Samo, my man Nick that hightailed it on us in the middle of the show. My producer Chris, man, love you guys, man. Love all you guys in the chat. So with that said, man, see you guys Sunday. Love, peace, and hair grease, man.
Later.